Quick note before we start. This video covers women's safety in Germany, including domestic violence, workplace harassment, and sexual assault. If any of these hit home, please take care of yourself first. You can call the Hilfetelefon 116016. It's free, it's anonymous, available 24/7 in a day, and in 18 languages. Everything else that follows in this video is informational, based on German law as at when this video was recorded. It is not legal advice. For your specific situation, please talk to a counselor or a specialist lawyer. I've walked home in this country at night more times than I can count, and in most situations, those nights were fine. Sometimes they weren't. And as a woman, also being a member of different groups that are mostly females here in Germany, I've seen and also heard of different complaints that hinge mostly on sexual violence. Be it a workplace situation, a relationship that turned, or a moment on any of the platforms, the same thing keeps reoccurring. In most cases, the women don't know what their rights actually are, what deadlines that keep running, and who to call for help. I'm Ada. I work in HR here in Germany, which means I've seen and handled a number of harassment cases. I know about the 2 months deadline and what an employer is required to do once a woman files a complaint. And as an immigrant woman living here in Germany, I am the right person to do this video. Today, the phone numbers you need to save on your phone before anything happens, the 2 months workplace deadline that expires before anyone notices, how the court can order someone out of your shared home in days, the paragraph 177 reform law from 2016 that most people still don't understand, and the resident permit clause that most married women in Germany should know about. I'll also have a pocket guide linked below. Every deadline, every number. Before we go anywhere, do this now. Pause this video, open up your contacts, and begin to save these numbers. 110. That's the police emergency contact. Not 119, not 911, not 999. 110. It's free from any phone in Germany, including phones without SIM cards. So you can save it as Polizei 110. The second number is 112. That's the medical and fire emergency number. If you're hurt or you come across anyone there is, please contact 112. You can save it as Not Roof 112 in your contacts. 3. 116016. That's the National Women's Helpline. Hilfetelefon Gewalt gegen Frauen. The National Women's Helpline. It's free, anonymous, available 24/7, and in 19 languages. They have English, Arabic, French, Spanish, so on and so forth. They will talk you through what to do, where to go, and who in your city can help. There is also a chat option on hilfetelefon.de in case you're not able to speak out loud where you are. And 4, save the address of the nearest Frauenhaus, that's a women's shelter closest to you. We'll talk about Frauenhaus in a minute. The directory to search for is Frauenhauskoordinierung.de. These 4 entries take roughly a couple of minutes to add. Do it right now. Now let's talk about sexual harassment in the workplace. If something has happened or is happening that wasn't consented to, the law that protects you is in section 177 of StGB. That is the Strafgesetzbuch. In November 2016, after a long campaign, the law was reformed. Before 2016, the victim needed to have proof that there was a resistance on their end before anything would have been done to protect the victim. But from November 2016, in the language of the law, the standard became 9-9, which loosely translates as no means no. So, an act against the victims becomes recognizable. You don't need to have resisted or show any bruises or anything of that sort. So long as you said no, your no stands. 3 things almost no one tells immigrant women. 1, your employer is supposed to have a complaint office. Every German employer, no matter the size, has one by law. and you can file a complaint there in writing. For most companies, the complaint office is the HR or a designated officer. If you file a complaint, your employer must investigate and get a report back to you. If you don't know who or what your complaint officer is in your place of work, please reach out to your HR. They have to tell you. Secondly, you have 2 months from when you filed the complaint or when the most recent incident is ongoing to assert a claim for damages in writing. You can either write through your employer or to the AufentthG, that's the labor court. You have 2 months. If you don't write to claim this in 2 months, your right to compensation is gone. This is the deadline I opened the video with. Most people don't know about this. And thirdly, filing a complaint is your legal right and it is legally protected. Your employer cannot punish you for complaining. So you can't be retaliated against, you can't be fired, you can't be demoted, and they cannot quietly freeze you out. Section 612A BGB is the anti-retaliation clause. If your employer retaliates against you for filing a complaint, that in and of itself is a separate claim with its damages. So if you think something has happened to you, even if you're not sure, have a note detailing the date, the time, what was said, who said it, who was there, and keep that note somewhere outside of your work computer. You don't have to use it, you don't have to file it, but in case you need to, you know where to reach for it. Now, the harder one, domestic violence. The other day on the road, I saw a man slap his wife in broad daylight in Germany. I was as shocked as you probably are watching this. It's so surprising to know that things like this happen in a country like Germany. But Germany, just like every other place, is occupied by human beings, and human beings do vile things at times. Anyways, in terms of domestic violence, the Federal Criminal Police Office published its 2024 report in November 2025, stating that 265,942 people were victims of domestic violence in that year alone, and 70% of them are women. 132 women were killed by their partners or ex-partners in that year alone. The law that protects you in case of domestic violence is called the Gewaltschutzgesetz. That's the Protection Against Violence Act, and it came into force in 2002. There are 2 sections of this act that you should know. The first one is the protection order. If someone has hurt you, threatened you, or stalked you, you can apply at the Familiengericht, that's the family court, for an order. And the court can ban that person from contacting you via email, telephone, letter, by coming into your home, or by being a defined distance from you, your workplace, your kindergarten, or any place you regularly are, or places you frequently visit. And in violation on that order is seen as a criminal offense, and the police can arrest the person on the spot. Secondly, the Wohnungszuweisung, that's the housing assignment, and this is one where most women, especially immigrant women, don't know exists. If you and your perpetrator share a home, even if your name is not on the lease and even if it's their apartment, the court can order them to leave the home for up to 12 months or 6 months for an extension for up to 12 months. In essence, you stay and they leave. And there is a deadline here as well. So you have to request for the Wohnungszuweisung in writing within 3 months of the incident. You also don't need a lawyer, and you also don't need to pay upfront. There is a Beratungshilfe, that's the legal advice aid, and a Verfahrungskostenhilfe, that's a procedural cost aid for people who can't afford it. The Hilfetelefon will walk you through which form you need to fill, what court, and in what language. If you cannot stay where you are tonight or the night of the incident, the answer is Frauenhaus, that's the women's shelter. Keep in mind, the Frauenhaus is not a homeless shelter. It's a confidential, secured residence for women and their children who are escaping from violence. The address is not publicly listed. The staff are trained social workers and counselors, and there are over 350 Frauenhause around Germany with about 7,000 locations. So in practice, if you call 116016, the Hilfetelefon number, or the Frauenhause in your district, remember the directory, Frauenhauskoordinierung.de, and you explain your situation, you can be anonymous if you want. They check intake. If they don't have space, they will refer you to another place that is closer to your vicinity. When it comes to the cost, the accommodation at the Frauenhaus is funded by the state for women that are receiving social benefits, that's the Bürgergeld, or for people who otherwise can't pay. But if you're employed and you're earning, you might be asked to contribute to a sliding scale. Keep in mind, nobody's going to turn you away because of money, and nobody's going to turn you away because of your residence status. So this also applies to women that are undocumented or women without papers. So you can bring your essentials, you can bring your children, and you can leave at any time. You're not held under custody. It is only a temporary safe house where you can stay while your complaint is being filed and the right authorities are being contacted. So if yourself or you suspect a friend is in need of help, just text them the number 110016. And here are 3 things you need to know regarding evidence and your rights afterwards. 1. You have a right to a medical examination by a forensic doctor, and you can do this without filing a police report first, and this is called the Anonyme Spurensicherung, known as anonymous evidence preservation. So essentially, the hospital collects the evidence and stores it, and you can decide years down the line if you want to file a police report and take any necessary actions regarding this assault. It's important to know that not all hospitals offer this. So if you call the Hilfetelefon 116016, they will inform you on the hospitals that offer this kind of solution. Secondly, the statute of limitation for sexual offenses against adults under paragraph 177 is generally 20 years for serious cases, and it starts from the victim's 30th birthday for cases involving children. So you don't have to decide today, you have the liberty to make your decision later into the future. And thirdly, you have the right to be accompanied by anyone of your choice to go to the police station. So you can go with either your friend, a counselor, or anyone you trust. And you also have the right to request for a female police officer if you feel more comfortable doing that. Looking at public spaces, walking home, and what exactly counts as a crime. Street harassment is real in Germany. So things like catcalling, coercions, and women being stalked. Every immigrant woman I know has a story or something similar to share on this topic. And all of these are crimes. You can either call 110 to file a complaint, or you can file online on online version of your state police. So here are a few practical tips to have in mind when it comes to harassment in public. The use of pepper spray. It is legal to only carry pepper spray as a defense against animals, but it is illegal to use this against humans. There are cases when it goes to court, the perpetrator is actually defended by the law if the pepper spray was used against them as victims. But you can use the pepper spray if it is labeled to be used against animals. So the legal framing matters. Carry the dog defense label. You can also carry personal alarms. These are legally accepted. Cities like Berlin, Munich, Hamburg, they distribute this to women for free upon request. And there's also something called the Hilfetelefon, and it's 030-120-74182. The Hilfetelefon. It is a volunteer-run line where if you feel like you're being stalked and you feel more comfortable calling someone, you can call this number and they would be on the line with you as you walk back home. They usually run between 8 p.m. to midnight, and on weekends, they run even longer. And if you're ever on public transit, so DB or BVG, the train operators app now have an in-app emergency button that you can use to connect directly to an onboard staff for them to help you out in this situation. So it's worth setting this up before you need it in an emergency. So let's talk about the rights immigrant women should know. And this is the section that is only for immigrant women. If your residence permit in Germany is tied to your marriage, say for example, you came to Germany under a family reunion visa, or you're on your husband's visa, these visas usually last for 3 years. So technically, you're legally required to stay married to your husband or married to your spouse for 3 years before you can become independent on your own visa. And what most immigrant women aren't told is that in section 31, paragraph 2 of the Aufenthaltsgesetz, it contains a hardship clause. That is besondere Härte. So if continuing the marriage would constitute a particular hardship, this 3-year rule can be waived. And mind you, the law explicitly names domestic violence as a valid reason for this waiver to apply. So you can apply for an independent residence before this 3-year mark, is up. You also do not have to choose between staying in Germany or leaving your marriage. Most times, many women feel trapped in marriages that are abusive because they feel like if they speak out, they would have to forfeit their residence, because of course, their residence is probably tied to the perpetrator of, their abuse. And so they feel like if they speak out, their residence will be taken away from them and they will have to leave the country. But that's not the case. So if you make a report, the application goes to the Ausländerbehörde, and of course, evidence helps. So if you have a police report or a medical report that you can use to back up your claim, or a statement from the Frauenhaus, anything at all that you can use to back up your claim, you can attach this to your report, and it's enough. And this is why if something happens, even if you don't want to take action immediately, it's important for you to at least file a report and have it stored somewhere, so that in case in the future, if the abuse continues or you ever change your mind and you decide to press charges, or you even want to go out of this tied residence permit, you can always pull up this report and use it for your own benefit. So if you're watching this today and any of these things I'm talking about somehow relates to you, if it touches you, you know anyone that is in this situation, please call 116016. The call is anonymous. They would not call the Ausländerbehörde against you. They will also not call your spouse. You just file your report and they'll take it from there. So the reason I'm making this video today is because the conversation regarding women's safety has become even louder than it was in previous years. Women groups in major cities like Berlin, Hamburg, and the rest are demanding for better protection during nighttime. They are also requesting for funded late night taxis for women. Also dedicated funding for Frauenhaus to close the shortage in bed gap, and a faster prosecution for domestic violence related crimes. And whatever you think of these proposals is a public debate. What I'm here to do is to tell you the system that are already in place to protect you, because most times most immigrant women don't know these things and they end up suffering in silence. So before there are any changes to what we already have, you can make use of the systems that are put in place to help you today. So quickly before you go, a recap. You have to call 110 for the police, 112 for medical and fire emergencies, 116016 for Hilfetelefon. They are ready to help you 24/7, 7 days a week. Anonymous, and they support up to 19 languages. And you should look for a Frauenhaus closest to you, just in case. The 2 deadlines that quietly expire: 2 months for workplace incidents and 3 months for Wohnungszuweisung. The right most women don't know about is the independent residence permit that is possible even before the 3 years expires in the case of domestic violence. If you got something out of this video, the kindest thing you can do is to send this to a woman in Germany. Not because you think something is happening or you think something might happen, but just in case if anything happens, they don't start Googling on the spot, but they already have the information at the tip of their fingers and also possibly saved on their phones. The pocket guide will be linked in the description. Print it, save it, and pass it on to any woman. If you found this video helpful, you might be interested in knowing about the bureaucracy regarding childbirth in Germany. And if that's not your cup of tea, you might be interested in the 7 steps I took to get my citizenship in Germany. Thank you all for hanging out with me today, and I will see you in my next video. Ciao!